අද්විතීය 200 Mbps ස්පීඩ් එකකින් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ වේගවත්ම සහ පුළුල්තම හෝම් බ්‍රෝඩ්බෑන්ඩ් සම්බන්ධතාවය වන SLT මොබිටෙල් දේශීය ෆයිබර් බලවේගය ඔබත් අදම අත්විඳින්න.
හරිම සුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9, this Saturday the 22nd of April 2023. Step up. 1 billion rupees to be allocated for artificial intelligence development next year, says President. Calls on private sector to step up once economy is opened.
Once we open up the economy, we are leaving the growth to private sector. The burden is fully on yours. You all are going to be responsible. So you have to tell us what you are going to do. We will be talking to all of you.
Ramadan Kareem. Muslim community in Sri Lanka celebrates Ramadan today. President says this time celebration will unify all Sri Lankans towards a common goal. Murder. 5 elderly found hacked to death on Delph Islands. Investigations underway. Remanded. 21-year-old involved in false anonymous bomb threat remanded until the 4th of May.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9 with Andrew Bernard. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Alliance Finance මෙතුරු රන්නයි සේවාවෙන් රන් පවුම්කට රුපියල් 1,70,000ක ඉහළ අධිකාරම.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දිනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබා ගත හැක.
A very good evening and welcome to AdaDerana 24's English News. In your top story for tonight, President Ranil Wickremesinghe highlighted the need for a strong export-oriented economy while emphasizing the importance of engaging in comprehensive economic and technological collaborations with India and negotiating entry into the regional comprehensive economic partnership. The head of state went on to say that he will also allocate 1 billion rupees next year to develop artificial intelligence in the country. President Wickremesinghe, also speaking at an event yesterday in Colombo, said that he will set up a private sector. Rather, he called on the private sector to lead the development drive in the country once the economy opens up.
The Business Today Top 40 Awards was held yesterday under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
We have to ensure that we are a dynamic economy, that we are an export-oriented economy. And the major areas would be our decision to enter into the comprehensive economic and technological partnership with India, but also to negotiate to enter the RCEP. So we have to come to the RCEP standard. We can't be lower than that. We have to open up. And after RCEP, we should go for the CPTPP, the Comprehensive Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership. So that means already we are setting the criteria. You have to act according to that. We can't be changing it. So that is the challenge you have. There will be many old areas you can go into. For instance, traditional agriculture. It won't be traditional. We have to modernize it. Fisheries have to be modernized. A new approach to tourism, logistics, think big, a green energy, renewable energy, our potential for green hydrogen, technology. We have to focus on artificial intelligence. That's why next year I'm setting aside 1 billion rupees for artificial intelligence. It's very small, 1 billion rupees. But I doubt whether we can spend 1 billion rupees next year. I don't think we'll spend 1 billion rupees. But we'll ensure at least the year after we can spend and give you more money. It's a new future for you. Are we prepared to grasp it? Completely new education system. When they asked me, I said that we want aim at output of 10,000 engineers a year. We do 2,500. And 5,000 doctors, we do 1,500. These are the opportunities, not to talk of IT technicians and others who are required. It's a large number. Government has about 400 vocational training and technical training institutes. We are looking at working them, if necessary, 2 shifts and see how the private sector can partner us in this work. So this is part of the future that we are working. And I'm happy to see that the big 40 here. Now, how are you going to contribute? Once we open up the economy, we are leaving the growth to private sector. The burden is fully on yours. I have shifted it out. It's no longer I certainly won't have to say the government is responsible. You all are going to be responsible. So you have to tell us what you are going to do. We'll be talking to all of you, but the country will look at you. If you want the private sector to be the engines of growth, then come up with a plan and perform the job.
Now, Chief Government Whip Prasanna Ranatunga stated that the government is willing to work with the opposition leader Sajith Premadasa. However, member of the Samagi Janabalavagiya Tisatha Naika stated that the national government is being established in order to protect the power rather than developing the country through national policies and promoting justice.
ජාතික ආණ්ඩුවක අවශ්‍යතාවය අද ඇති වෙලා තියෙන්නේ ආණ්ඩුවට කීප දෙනෙක් එකතු වෙන්න බලන්න ඉන්නවා. ඒගොල්ලොන්ගේ අවශ්‍යතාවය උඩ තමයි මම හිතන්නේ ජාතික ආණ්ඩුවක් හැදෙන්න යන්නේ. ජාතික ආණ්ඩුව කියන නම පාවිච්චි කරත් නැතත් සියලු දෙනාම එකතු වෙලා ආණ්ඩුවේ වැඩපොළවලට සහයෝගය ලබා දෙනවා නම් හොඳයි කියලායි අපි විශ්වාස කරන්නේ.
ජාතික ආණ්ඩුව කියන ලේබලය හැම වෙලාවකම ඉතිහාසය පුරාම අලවලා තිබෙන්නේ තමන්ගේ බලය රැකගන්න. එහෙම නැතුව යුක්ති සහගතව රට හදන්න, රට දියුණු කරන්න, රටට අලුත් ප්‍රතිපත්තියක් නව ඒකාබද්ධ වැඩසටහනක් ගේන්න නෙවෙයි. ඒ නිසා මේ හදන්නේ ඒ විදියටම තමන්ගේ බලය රැක ගැනීමට මිස ආණ්ඩුවක් හැටියට රට ගොඩ ගන්න ජාතික ව්‍යාපාරයකට නෙවෙයි.
ජාතික ආණ්ඩුවක් හදන්න ඕනි කියන එක අපි මුලින්ම හිටියා. අපි රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයත් එක්ක වැඩ කරනවා නම් ඒ සජිත් එක්ක බැරි. ජාතික ආණ්ඩුවක් තුල හැමෝම එක්ක වෙන්න ඕනේ.
ජාතික ආණ්ඩුව කිව්වත් වරුත් එක්ක ජාතික ආණ්ඩුව පිටවන්න අපි ලෑස්ති නෑ. ඒගොල්ලොන්ගේ කුණු, ඒගොල්ලොන්ගේ පව් අපේ පිටින් හොදලා අපි කොටස්කරුව කරගන්න දාන උත්සාහවලට අපි අහුවෙන්නේ නෑ කියන එක කියන්න ඕනේ.
මේ රජයේ බලයට ආපු වෙලාවේ මීට වසරකට පෙර අරගලය ආරම්භ කරපු වෙලාවේ රටේ මහා ආර්ථික ව්‍යසනයක් තිබුණා. මිනිසුන්ට කන්න බොන්න තිබුණේ නෑ. කිලෝමීටර් 5ක් යන්න ඉන්ධන තිබුණේ නෑ. අද අපි ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා වත්මන් රජය ඒ හදිසි ප්‍රශ්න ටික දැනට විසඳලා තියෙනවා. රජයෙන් ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කෙරුවා අපි දැන් වැල් පාලවෙන් එගොඩ රට අරගෙන ගියා කියලා. ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම මම අවංකව ප්‍රශංසා කරනවා ඒක ඇත්ත.
Now, Sri Lankan envoy to India, Milinda Moragoda, met with India's Minister of Commerce and Industry, Sri Piyush Goyal, earlier this week to discuss trade expansion as a means of economic recovery for Sri Lanka. The High Commissioner Moragoda further stated that India could play a key role in Sri Lanka's economic development. Sri Lanka's High Commissioner to India, Milinda Moragoda, met with the Indian Minister of Commerce and Industry, Sri Piyush Goyal, earlier this week at the Ministry of Commerce and Industry in New Delhi to follow up on key areas that were discussed during their last meeting in February. The key areas discussed in February included mechanisms relating to the expansion of bilateral trade, the ways to establish and promote rupee trade between Sri Lanka and India as a means of economic recovery in Sri Lanka, and the possibility of further bilateral integration in textiles and the garment sector. At the meeting, the progress made so far in these key areas was reviewed by the Indian Commerce Minister and the Sri Lankan High Commissioner. Special attention was given to the area of trade expansion as a means of economic recovery of Sri Lanka, and the way forward in this regard was discussed in detail. In this context, High Commissioner Moragoda reiterated the key role that India, with its projected growth rate of 6.7% for 2024, could play in Sri Lanka's economic recovery. Now, Sri Lanka's Muslim community celebrates Ramadan today with the announcement made by the Grand Mosque of Colombo that the new crescent moon was sighted yesterday. In line with the celebration, President Ranil Wickremesinghe said he believes that this year's Ramadan celebration will unify all Sri Lankans, irrespective of race and religion, to work towards a common goal of developing a robust and equitable society.
Following the completion of fasting for 1 month, the Muslim community in Sri Lanka is celebrating Eid al-Fitr today, as the Grand Mosque of Colombo stated that the new crescent moon was sighted yesterday. Ramadan, the 9th month in the Islamic calendar, which is considered one of the holiest months for Muslims, is marked by observing a daily fast from dawn to sunset, which is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Meanwhile, President Ranil Wickremesinghe extended his wishes to the Muslim community of Sri Lanka. The president added that he is confident that this year's Ramadan celebration will serve to unify all Sri Lankans, irrespective of race and religion, in working towards a common goal of developing a robust and equitable society which upholds the values of freedom and human dignity. He added that this month of abstinence is not only an opportunity for individuals to fulfill their hallowed duties, but is also an important message to the world on promoting generosity and equality to the wider society, underlining the importance of social values. Meanwhile, several countries around the world, including Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Singapore, Japan, Brunei, Australia, and the Philippines celebrated Eid al-Fitr today.
Now, former Attorney General Dapula de Oliveira has once again been informed to appear before the Terrorism Investigation Division. Further, the TID has decided to notify the court if the former Attorney General fails to appear before the division once again on the 24th of April.
Former Attorney General Dapula de Oliveira was initially informed to make an appearance at the Terrorism Investigation Division on the 19th of April to record a statement pertaining to his controversial comment of a grand conspiracy behind the Easter Sunday terror attacks in 2019. However, the former Attorney General's lawyer appeared before the TID on the 19th and submitted a 7-page legal objection on his behalf. Dapula de Oliveira was then once again asked to report to the TID yesterday, but he did not comply with the summons. Accordingly, the TID decided to notify the court if the former Attorney General fails to appear before the division once again on the 24th of April. In May 2021, he claimed that there had been a grand conspiracy with regard to the 2019 Easter attacks, noting that evidence and intelligence material and relevant pieces of information must be carefully evaluated in order to reach a conclusion on those who led the attacks. He further mentioned that the information provided by the State Intelligence Service with regard to the targets, places, times, method of attacks and other information remains clear evidence that there was a grand conspiracy.
Now, the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka summoned the representatives of the Sri Lanka Tribe Forces yesterday in relation to the investigations being conducted in the torching of President Ranil Wickremesinghe's private residence on the 9th of July 2022. Even though the respectives of the Sri Lanka Navy and Sri Lanka Air Force presented facts in this regard before the HRCSL yesterday, the Sri Lanka Army failed to do so. Issuing a statement on the matter, however, the HRCSL noted that the Sri Lanka Army had requested for a later date to present these facts. As such, accordingly, considering the request, the HRCSL has agreed to summon the Sri Lanka Army to present all relevant facts in this regard on a later date, which is yet to be announced. HRCSL is currently investigating whether or not sufficient levels of security were provided at the time President Wickremesinghe's private residence was torched by the masses of the anti-government protesters on the 9th of July last year. Now, Ambassador of Sri Lanka to the United Arab Emirates, Udaya Indrajit, met the UAE's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation and held discussions on how to enhance the friendly relations between Sri Lanka and the UAE to reach the next level of bilateral cooperation. Ambassador of Sri Lanka to the United Arab Emirates, Udaya Indraratna, met with H.H. Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation on the United Arab Emirates on the 11th of April 2023 at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the UAE. During the discussions, Ambassador Indraratna extended greetings from President Ranil Wickremesinghe and briefed about the steady development of Sri Lanka. The discussions were mainly focused on avenues to further enhance the friendly relations between Sri Lanka and UAE to reach the next level of bilateral cooperation. Reflecting his commendable vision to endure mutually beneficial ties between the two nations, the H.H. Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan offered to assist Sri Lanka in various fields, including the development of energy and tourism sectors of Sri Lanka. Reiterating Sri Lanka's special relationship with the UAE, Ambassador Indraratna also acknowledged the warm friendship, hospitality, peace and harmony extended by the UAE and its friendly people. Now stay with us to find out more information about a brutal murder reported from the Delph Islands and a false tip-off made regarding a bomb threat. Also and much more coming up right after this short commercial break.
ගොඩමට පෙරලි කරන බලපුළුවන්කාරයා මහින්ද්‍රා යුවෝ ටීමෝ වෙතින්. වැඩම ගොඩයි ගොඩම තමයි. ස්වරාජ් ට්‍රැක්ටර් ටීමෝ වෙතින්. මේ අලුත් අවුරුද්දේ හිත පිරෙන ගනුදෙනුවකට හොඳම තැන හිත ගිය තැන බැංකුව HNB.
ශක්තිමත් මෙන්ම විශාලතම රාජ්‍ය රක්ෂණ ආයතනයක් වීම අපට මහත් අභිමානයක්. වසර 60කට අධික විශිෂ්ටත්වය, රුපියල් බිලියන 274.6ක වත්කම්, 190කට අධික ශාඛාජාලය, රුපියල් බිලියන 158ක ජීවිත රක්ෂණ අරමුදලක්. Sri Lanka Insurance.
Welcome back. Now, the Natural Hazards Early Warning Centre of the Department of Meteorology today issued an amber-coloured heat index advisory for several parts across the country. Accordingly, the heat index is expected to increase up to caution levels at some places in the western, northwestern, northern, north central and eastern provinces, in the Monaragala, Ratnapura and Hambantota districts as well tomorrow. Accordingly to the Met Department, the temperatures felt by the human body during this period will be between 39 and 49 degrees Celsius. With this being the case, the department urged the general public to stay hydrated and take breaks in the shade as often as possible, limit strenuous outdoor activities, and to wear light-coloured clothes or white during the day. However, issuing its general weather forecast for tomorrow, the Met Department meanwhile stated that showers or thunder showers are likely to occur at several places in the eastern, Uva, northern, north central, Sabaragamu and central provinces during the afternoon or night. Now, Delph Island police have launched investigations into the brutal killings of 2 men and 3 women residing in a house near the Delph jetty. They were found murdered using sharp weapons. However, no suspect has been identified and the motive behind the murder is yet unknown.
5 people were found hacked to death with sharp weapons in a house in the Delph Island in Jaffna this morning. According to police, 2 men and 3 women were among the victims. One of the men was killed in the middle of the house, while the other was killed in a room. One of the women residing in the house was also found dead in one of the bedrooms. Meanwhile, the remaining 2 women were found hacked to death with sharp weapons outside the house. Another woman was admitted to the Jaffna hospital for treatment after sustaining serious lacerations. According to police, the victims are elderly and have been identified as relatives. 2 of the victims, who were holders of foreign passports, had returned to Sri Lanka from overseas on holiday. Police suspect the murders took place between last night and this morning. However, the motive behind the murder is yet to be ascertained. Police spokesperson SSP Nihal Thalduwa meanwhile stated that while no arrests have been made, investigation into the homicide are currently underway.
No 21-year-old arrested earlier for giving a false tip-off to the police over a bomb explosion in the area of Akurana was remanded until the 4th of May after he was produced before the court today. The suspect has called the police on the 19th of April and warned of an impending bomb attack on the mosques during Ramadan.
A man arrested for giving an anonymous false tip-off to the police about a possible bomb threat to Akuran area recently was remanded until the 4th of May. The 21-year-old was produced before the Halmstad police earlier today. On 19th of April, he had called the 118 online emergency complaint system and falsely claimed that there was an impending bomb attack on mosques in Akurana during Muslim devotees' prayers in the holy month of Ramadan. Following the bomb scare, special police teams were deployed to Akurana to beef up security in the area, while the police cybercrimes unit initiated an investigation into the matter. According to the police, the arrest was made this morning in the area of Harispattua after confirming the suspect's identity. Speaking on the matter on Friday, police spokesperson SSP Nihal Thalduwa clarified recent reports circulated on the increased security in the Akurana area. Thalduwa said the move was a precautionary measure in response to the call received via the emergency hotline, claiming that a bomb attack was being planned in the said area.
Now, global stocks languished yesterday, barely responding to a jump in Eurozone business activity as investors waited for data on the US economy ahead of next month's Federal Reserve meeting. The US Federal Reserve, the Bank of England and the European Central Bank are all expected to raise rates when they meet in the first week of May, seeking to tackle subsidently and high inflation. S&P 500 futures traded flat yesterday morning as investors took in a week's worth of earnings results and a fresh round of data that showed the economy in a rut. Meanwhile, Nasdaq 100 futures were off 0.21% heading into the final day of trading for the week. Dow Jones Industrial Average futures added 17 points. All the major averages are on pace to end the week in the red, with the Dow Jones and SP 500 on track for their most weekly performance since March. The MSCI All Country Stock Index was also down by 0.1%, though it remains about 8% firmer for the year. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan fell by 1% and was down by about 1.7% for the week so far, its worst performance since bank stability worries gripped markets in the middle of March. Asia-Pacific markets were also lower yesterday as data from Statistics Bureau on Japan's core inflation for March came in at 3.1%, unchanged from February. Mainland Chinese markets led losses in the region as the Shenzhen component shed 2.28%, while the Shanghai composite dropped 1.95%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index market slid 2.01% in its final hour of trade, while the Hang Seng Tech Index tumbled 3.58%. However, Japan's Nikkei touched the 8-month high and was on track for a second consecutive weekly gain. And that's all the news we have for you this evening. Join us again tomorrow for the very latest news at the very same time. Tune into our social media pages for the very latest news. A pleasant evening and good night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.